Salmonellosis or Salmonella gastroenteritis. So, just a little bit about the disease. It is caused by a gram-negative bacterium, Salmonella, which I'm sure we have all at least heard of. It can be caused mainly through the indigestion of different contaminated foods and water, and Salmonella actually makes a part of our normal intestinal microbiota. It can become an infection and develop into a problem depending on different factors, such as the overall health of the host and the serotype, which is a distinct variation within a species, bacteria, or among immune cells of different individuals. So the scientific names. The genus would be Salmonella. Species it has two are Salmonella enterica and Salmonella bongori. This picture here is going to be the enterica. Our class would be the Gamma proteobacteria, and the family it comes from is going to be Enterobacteriaceae. Different modes of transmission. So, as mentioned before, it'll be through contaminated water and food, usually by animal fecal matter. And the exposure to raw eggs and raw poultry is a big one. And the reason why poultry is so big and so commonly heard of when it comes to salmonella is because salmonella is part of the poultry's normal microbiota. So it is already in that poultry, which is why it's so important that we fully cook our chicken, that there is no pink left in it, and that we are careful whenever we're dealing with raw chicken or raw meat of any kind. For example, after we finish cutting up this chicken here, before we use this cutting board again or this knife, we would definitely need to make sure that we are cleaning it properly and not just using this dirty work surface to make our side, for example. It was found that about 94% of the transmissions are responsible through our food. So this is why it's really important to make sure that we have a clean work surface and wash our hands properly after dealing with all these raw foods with all these contaminants. It is also common to get it through a direct contact with an infected animal or the environment, such as different livestock animals, and it can happen directly between humans, although this is a pretty uncommon method. Different signs and symptoms. So we have our headache and a fever. One can also get vomiting, nausea, abdominal cramps and abdominal pains, and diarrhea. And this will usually last in between 4 to 7 days, about a week or so. Here are just some other effects of the salmonella. So once it is ingested, the bacteria actually multiplies within the intestines. So this is a disease that is very big when it comes to affecting our GI tract. This can actually penetrate the epithelial mucosal cells where they can continue to grow. And that's what is being shown here. It's showing the salmonella penetrating into the different cells and starting to grow. It can actually trigger an inflammatory process and the hypersecretion of fluids as our body is trying to start to fight it. It can actually cross the cell membrane and enter into our lymphatic system, and it has been found that some strains of salmonella are capable of producing an enterotoxin that can cause intoxication. The incubation period has been found to be about 12 to 72 hours, and it is very uncommon, but according to the CDC website, it actually has been found to have been recorded 16 days after an initial exposure. The treatment. So most of the time, these types of cases of this disease go unreported because a lot of the times it is not serious enough to need a hospital stay or to really have to go into the doctor. A lot of those symptoms we can all manage at home for the most part. Things like plenty of fluids, getting plenty of rest, things like that. However, when it comes to more serious cases, antibiotics are going to begin to be used. This is the main ones that I was able to find: fluoroquinones, cephalosporins, ampicillin, and for children as the rhamycin. The prevention, frequent hand washing, as with pretty much all our diseases, especially after we finished handling raw poultry, raw meat, raw anything really. Just really washing our hands, making sure that we're not going around getting all those contaminants all over the place, all over our food. Making sure that we cook our food thoroughly, making sure that we cook it to the appropriate internal temperatures. Poultry, for example, has to be 165, while steak only has to be 145. With steak, we can actually get away with leaving it a little bit pink. We can get away with leaving it medium rare or rare, while with poultry, as we all know, no pink at all whatsoever. And as well as avoiding foods with a high risk for contamination, or if not, just really being more responsible about where we get our food from, making sure that we get it from a trustworthy source.